Perhaps this is the most appropriate or maybe inappropriate time to talk about air quality. Depends on the way you want to take it. But Delhi does have a distinction of being in the news across the globe. I think there are far more learnings across the globe from Delhi than we get from the rest of the world. I wish those who write about it also wrote about certain other things that are happening in the rest of the globe so that India learned, maybe Brazil, maybe California. But it's good that a lot is being written about Delhi. That makes us conscious and that makes us sensitive, unlike many other places. So, it's when you're talking about sustainability and air quality, it's about rewriting a growth story. An aspirational country on the growth path will have this huge problem of emission. So the right approach for any such country is to be very responsible while they grow. Because there can be no growth at the cost of environment. Although I am a strong non-believer in this entire debate on development versus environment, I see absolutely no reason why the two can't coexist. And as policy makers, our job is to define the parameters and the path in which they really coexist. Because let's take India for example. If electricity is to be reached to 3 million people who don't have it, there is no way a political system will say that it will not happen or we should not do it. Or even the civil society must admit that it needs to be done. Now the issue is, how do you do it? So I would advocate India's like policy where we are saying that we will go to 40% renewables and reduce the burden on fossil fuel. So that is the correct path to take. The point I am trying to make is that there is a distinct possibility of striking a balance. And that is what we should be looking at. And organizations like NRBs should be working in that direction to give us a pathway which we can perhaps adopt and follow. You rightly pointed out about health issues, and I strongly believe that air quality and issues related to air are not just about environment, they're about life. Although I really don't know if we can put numbers to mortality as cause of death being air pollution. That's a huge technical problem. But what we need to admit and understand is that it does cause morbidity and it does cause mortality as well. But instead of getting into the numbers and saying where there is more mortality and where there is less mortality, what we should be concentrating on is what is the kind of quality of life that we are giving to the people in a particular city or a particular village. That should be the underlying factor whenever we discuss this. India's overall approach to this entire problem has been to look for alternatives, has been to create a situation where we are able to grow responsibly, grow rapidly but responsibly. We have a lot of commitments which we have made, not just to our own people but also to the international community. Many of you would be aware that India is committed to reduce its intensity of emission to its GDP by 32 to 35% by 2030. Or for that matter, get the renewables mix up to 40% by 2030. So these are things that India would actively like to pursue through maybe 175 gigawatts of renewable energy, of getting in new technology, investing in technology and trying to see how we can resolve the issue. These are global commitments which we need to keep. And please understand that these global commitments are not government's commitment alone. It is the country's commitment. It is the industry's commitment. It is the civil society commitment. It's the people's commitment, which we need to really, really keep up. Now, if you look at the A story, and the first and foremost thing which I feel is critical in this is to acknowledge that we have a problem. Many of us in government, outside government, seem to be in a denial mode on one issue or the other. We need to understand that we have a problem and we need to then start looking for solutions. There are solutions, not very easy ones. And if you look at the story of Beijing, for example, it's not been an easy journey. And it's not an easy one. So I always believe that first and foremost acknowledge. And that we've been able to fortunately do. Then we need to analyze what are the causes that are contributing to it. And after the analysis only we'll be able to find solutions. If you talk about Delhi, just as an example, last 4 days or maybe 5 days were very good days, not because the pollution level was at a very low level, but because meteorology was helping us. It's a mix. One arm of it is something that you just can't handle. The other arm is something that you should have handled long time back and you are still struggling with. That is our problem. So, if you look at the contribution of various aspects to air quality, you're looking at dust, you're looking at vehicles, you're looking at industries, and you're looking at incursions from outside as well, as far as Delhi is concerned. But look at the entire map of India. One critical finding is that all the red squares are in the Indo-Gangetic plain. Very few places across the country where you really have a severe situation as you have in Indo-Gangetic plain. I guess there are two reasons to it. One is, yes, very little care has been taken in this area to move on to technology and other aspects which reduces emission. Dust, for example. Many major cities have solved the problem. Delhi still hasn't solved the problem. So, how do we tackle this Indo-Gangetic problem? That is a challenge. Rest of the year, while the level of pollution may be by and large the same, minus the incursions. September, for example, was an outstanding month as far as Delhi was concerned. We need to study why it happened. Was it only meteorology? Was something else working? But come November, and we always have these bad days in between good days. And one of the reasons is that while the pollutants rise, they are not able to disperse because of the moisture above. The point I am trying to make is, what do? You can't do anything with the moisture. So the effort has to be on reducing the emission as much as you can. And that is what last year we came up, as you are all aware, with a comprehensive action plan for Delhi NCR. Work has started on that. And it's a gradual process where after a while we may see success. And we are measuring that success all the time, so that whenever you need to alter something, we will be able to do that. But, and this is a different kind of a sustainability that I am talking about. You need sustained efforts to do that. It's not going to help if you only have an emergency knee-jerk reaction. This year, for example, we've been on the table with all concerned authorities since June, pushing everyone to what they are supposed to do, with some degree of success, minor. So the lesson we learn is that it will take us to persevere for a much longer time with all our schemes if we want to succeed. And let me get one thing clear. Air pollution cannot and should not be the government's business alone. It's everybody's business. And everybody has a role to play in this. From the smallest of the houses to the largest of the colonies in the city. Everybody has a role to play in this. I am a strong believer that if there is a cost to it, you spoke of economics. I think if there is even an adverse cost to it, it must be paid. It is far more important to have a better quality of life than a booming economy where you have bad quality of life. So, we need to continuously push. Several steps that have been taken have helped in reduction over the last 3 years. Look at, for example, the fuel change from BS4 to BS6 is one example I am taking. Millions of Ujjwala's beneficiaries cutting down on emission from that fire. LED, India stands out as an example in LED, energy efficiency. So, a lot of work has been done. But the problem with this is that it must happen at the local municipal level for things to improve. And we are trying our best as ministry, which is coordinating the efforts, to try and see that they really effectively work. You'll be surprised to know that till last year, the capital of the country did not even have enough automated suction sweeping machines. So we bought them last year. Now we have 60 of them. We've still not been able to address the problem of the smaller roads. This addresses the problem of the major roads. Water sprinklers. For the first time, we have a fleet in Delhi now doing that for dust suppression. We've also been trying technology. We tried technology of, having what they call HEPA filter or something on buses. Didn't really work out. So we are now trying another technology. TERI came up with a technology which we have installed on major intersection, which is supposed to suck the particulate matter. Limited success. We'll keep on trying. There are technology, but while we are trying technology, there are certain basic things we need to do. In those, we talk about stubble burning. We tried a scheme, we've introduced a scheme last year. Government of India is spending close to 1200 crores on that. This year we didn't see success in that, particularly in Punjab. We need to rethink our policy now. How do we do it? Because certain things that the agriculture practices have will not change merely because there is an air quality problem. There has to be another effort, which we will make, and we are making. See, the kind of efforts that have gone in over the last 2 years are phenomenal. And there are results to be seen. But then, most of the results are marginal. Reduction of 10%, reduction of 15%. We need at least a 50+% reduction to make things better. And we need to continuously work on that. You're also aware that we've launched one of the most ambitious programs called the National Clean Air Program across 103 cities in the country. When this program was being designed, one thing that we made sure is that we do not impose a program of the center. We've changed the entire narrative to cities preparing their plan and we agreeing to their plan. And we are funding them for that. Because each city would have its own problems over it. Somewhere it would be vehicular emissions, somewhere it would be industry. I mean, it takes courage to close down a power plant. We did that last year. And we'll continue to take many more steps for non-compliant industries, etc. But we still have a problem on hand. And with that problem, when meteorology is not favorable, we get into a mess. And we have ourselves to blame. It's a man-made thing and has to have a man-made solution. Let us acknowledge that. We've spoiled things, we must correct it. Nobody else from outside came and did it for us. So, reduction of emission also means newer technologies. That is where the focus should be. Because the problem and solution has to be science-based, not a knee-jerk solution. Science will dictate what is the best way to do it, and that is what we need to adopt. But I would invite all of you, if you have any innovative, fresh idea in mind which you want the government to implement, please let us know, we will do it immediately. I have been saying this on various forums for last many months, and believe me, there's not much response. I think we as people, as citizens, need to react now. And not just react in terms of criticism. React in terms of trying to find solutions. At many a time, solutions come from the most surprising quarter. Not from the straight-jacketed kind of a thing that we do all the time. So let us look at solutions. Let us look at a cooperative way of moving ahead. And together, let us mitigate the problem that we have created. Air quality is a serious issue. And we need to work together. Schemes have come in, money has been spent. I think we need to do much more than we have done. And I would be extremely happy for suggestions, plans, and criticism of what we are doing. That will help us correct where we have gone wrong. Thank you very much.